unfortunately, these members who are running this committee, they don't operate on logic, and you cannot debate reality with these people. Whenever this comes up, they exaggerate so much of this. And I mean, look at AOC. Everything goes back to her possibly being raped on January 6th. Why does everything come back to people want to have some sort of sexual encounter with her any time that there's an incident? I don't know what her obsession is with that, but this is what we're hearing from different.
Again, there's the conservatives, there's Lauren Boebert there talking about she can't understand why people are obsessed with something that conservatives always talk about. Just like they wonder why Black folks are so obsessed with racism. It's not like we talk about it all the time, and we constantly do and say racist things and implement racist policies. This is the interview that she's actually referring to that AOC was talking about and the reasons why she felt that way on January 6th. Watch.
Well, that impact was so doubled that day is because of the misogyny and the racism that is so deeply rooted and animated that attack on the Capitol. You know, white supremacy and patriarchy are very linked in a lot of ways. There's a lot of sexualizing of that violence. And I didn't think that I was just going to be killed. I thought other things were going to happen to me as well.
So what sounds like what you're telling me right now is that you didn't only think that you were going to die, you thought you were going to be raped.
Yeah, I thought I was.
And that you now understand, having thought about it, is because of your experience.
Yeah, I think so.
So if there was an earnest conversation about trying to figure out why AOC is concerned about these things happening to her, maybe you'd ask the question, or maybe you would look at that interview there and be like, oh, maybe it was because of her experience as a sexual assault survivor. And she also sees these links between white nationalists and the patriarchy, all these things all coming together. And also, maybe it's all those times that they keep talking about it on top of it all. So maybe you can just end it with, hey, this is a trauma situation that she relives whenever violent people come and say, AOC, we're coming to get you. Not a big deal at all. But there's also those jokes that these conservatives like to tell. Almost like this Facebook group of Customs and Border Protection officers that just thought it was just so funny to say things like this.
Mr. Secretary, are you aware of the ProPublica report indicating that there were about 10,000 potential current and former CBP officers in a violently racist and sexist Facebook group?
I am aware of the ProPublica article, yes.
Did you see any of the posts in the report?
I did.
Did you see the posts mocking migrant children's deaths?
I did.
Did you see the post planning physical harm to myself and Congresswoman Escobar?
Yes, and I directed an investigation within minutes of reading the article.
Did you see the images of officers circulating photoshopped images of my violent rape?
Yes, I did.
Weird, it's almost like AOC is not at fault for all these things and these pictures, characterizations, dreams and fantasies of rape culture among these conservatives, Francesca. It's almost like they're ignoring the facts so they can pursue this ridiculous point.
We all know it to be true. I mean, anyone who says that there has not been sexually charged, sexually violent imagery, words, threats, rape threats to AOC, I mean, you're out of your mind. It's on the daily for her. Can you imagine what it must be like in her DMs? Come on now, right? Like, and again, and it's so funny to downplay because effectively you've got Lauren Boebert saying, like so many rape apologists and rapists and predators say themselves, and misogynists say the words, essentially, no one would want to rape you. Who would want to rape? You know, that's effectively what they're saying. And this is said all the time and wielded against women all the time. And good for her, you know, because I think that it's a different generation, it's a different class of female legislator, to be totally honest with you. I have no doubt that someone like Hillary Clinton also received similar threats. But I think Hillary Clinton believes that she must rise above it, not name it, not be explicit, even though I'm sure she says she's a feminist, not explicitly say these are the ways that I am threatened and victimized as a woman in politics. And so good on AOC. It takes hella bravery to speak out like that. So much, not only to talk about your own sexual violence and someone who aggressed upon you, but then say, now this continues. And that, yeah, man, you can't talk about white supremacy. You can't talk about the violence of capitalism without also talking about gender violence. We are on the precipice of maybe taking away abortion rights for women, for 50% of this country. So don't talk to me that these things are not interlinked. They very much are.
And lastly, for me, the last thing about this is AOC talking about this angers them so much, because that's the thing. It's supposed to be one of those things that would just flies on the radar, and people like Elon Musk, who don't get this graphic, or Matt Gaetz, or in this case also Lauren Boebert, shoot these distractions at her. Every time she says anything else, it goes back to that, and it goes back to that. When nobody wants to date you, oh yeah, why do you think you're gonna be raped? And that becomes the norm of what society sees them say to her. So therefore, that's the only narrative that circles her, because they don't like that she's calling them out. They want her to shut the hell up and just take it. That's part of the culture. That's part of the control of this. Rape isn't always, never actually, about the whole, oh my God, I thought she was so hot, or he was so hot. It turns into that control, and the control goes beyond the actual act. And once they knew that she had been a victim, oh, they're like, this is great. Now we can attack further because this is who we are. Again, this has been the theme of the show today. Are these the folks you want to associate yourself with? Are you like them? I guess you are.